My name is Mara Ellis, and I was 31 years old when my family found out I was not ruined. That was the word they used for me back home. Ruined. Not lost. Not struggling. Not even gone. Ruined. For 8 years, they told the entire town of Bellhaven, Tennessee, that I had run away after a breakdown, that I was unstable, that they had tried everything, that they were praying I would get the help I needed. They did not say they had stolen my grandmother's college fund. They did not say my mother had signed my name on the withdrawal form. They did not say my father watched it happen and then told me to stop embarrassing the family. They did not say my sister drove away in the car that my future had paid for. They only said I was ruined. Then, last month, my sister typed my name into Google because she needed a co-signer. By lunchtime, my phone had 49 missed calls from people who had not asked if I was alive in 8 years. By dinner, there were 63 voicemails. I listened to every one of them in my office in Denver, with my door closed and my name on the glass. Mara Ellis, Chief Operations Officer, HarborBridge Community Housing. Not one voicemail said, "I'm sorry." Not one said, "We lied." Not one said, "We should have looked for you." Every single message, in one way or another, said the same 2 words. Fix this. My mother said it with control in her voice. My father said it like a man already ashamed of asking. My brother said it like a threat. My sister said it while crying hard enough to make it sound almost human. Fix this. As if I were a pipe that had burst in their basement. As if I were still the quiet girl who washed dishes after Thanksgiving while everyone else discussed my life like it was a stain on the tablecloth. As if I had spent 8 years building a life only so I could come back and repair the one they shattered. But here is what they did not know. 3 weeks after those voicemails, I was scheduled to stand on a stage in Bellhaven as the keynote speaker at the largest charity fundraiser the town had ever hosted. The fundraiser chair was my mother. She did not know the speaker was me. Not until the program was printed. And by then, every person who had believed her story for 8 years had already bought a ticket. Before I take you to that stage, I need to take you back to the night I left. Thanksgiving, 2018. Bellhaven, Tennessee, population 6,000. If you counted the college kids who only stayed for football season. It was the kind of town where people waved from porches, prayed over casseroles, and remembered your mistakes longer than they remembered your birthdays. Thanksgiving at the Ellis house always looked beautiful from the outside. My mother, Carolyn Ellis, polished the silver until it looked like proof of virtue. She ironed linen napkins, arranged flowers from the grocery store in my grandmother's crystal vase, and made sure the dining room looked like a magazine spread before anyone arrived. Inside that room, beneath the turkey and candlelight, everything had an order. My older sister, Brielle, sat near my mother because she was the achievement. My younger brother, Tyler, sat near my father because he was the son. I sat wherever there was space left. That year, I was 23. I worked mornings at a bakery and nights at the front desk of a dental office. I was taking community college classes toward a nursing program, 1 class at a time, because paying cash meant progress came slowly. My grandmother, Alice May Ellis, had died 6 months earlier. She was the only person in that house who had ever looked at me and seen more than utility. She taught me to check the oil in a car, stretch soup for 3 days, read bank statements, and keep my voice steady when somebody wanted me to sound hysterical. Most importantly, she told me she had left money for nursing school. Not enough to make you rich, she said, 3 months before she died. Sitting at her kitchen table with her oxygen tube looped around one ear. Enough to make sure no one can tell you no. $18,000. That was the number. $18,000 in an education account under my name. She said my mother had the paperwork because Carolyn was better with filing cabinets. I believed her. That was my first mistake. At Thanksgiving, after dessert, while Brielle showed everyone pictures of the white SUV she had bought for her new event planning business, I asked my mother about the account. "Mom," I said, "I need Grandma Alice's paperwork for the nursing fund. Registration opens Monday." The room changed before I understood why. Forks stopped. My Aunt Denise looked at her plate. Tyler leaned back in his chair with the smallest smile. Brielle's hand froze on her phone. My mother put down her coffee cup slowly. She looked at me as if I had taken off my clothes in church. "Mara," she said, her voice soft. "We talked about this." "We had not?" "No, we didn't." Her eyes moved around the table, collecting witnesses. "This is what I mean," she said to everyone, not to me. She gets fixated. She invents things, then becomes angry when reality does not match. My face went hot. "What are you talking about?" My father, Howard Ellis, cleared his throat. "Let it go, Mara." "Let what go? Grandma told me she left money for school." Brielle laughed under her breath. Grandma said a lot of things near the end. I looked at her. She had my money parked in the driveway. I did not know that yet, but some part of me did. My mother reached across the table and put her hand over mine. It looked loving. Her nails pressed into my skin, hard enough to leave crescents. "Honey, Anki said, you have been under a lot of stress. Nobody is judging you." Nobody is judging you. That is what people say when they have already convinced the room to judge. I pulled my hand back. "Where is the account?" My mother's face tightened. My Aunt Denise whispered, "Maybe not at the table." "No," I said. "At the table is perfect. Everyone is here. Where is the account Grandma left for me?" Brielle stood. This is so typical. I finally have one good thing happening, and Mara makes it about herself. "You bought a $40,000 SUV. It's for my business?" "With what money?" My mother rose then. Not fast. Not angry. Worse. Composed. "I think everyone needs to understand that Mara has been having some emotional problems." The sentence landed like a slap wrapped in velvet. I looked at my father. He looked at his wine glass. I looked at Tyler. He smirked. I looked at Brielle. She shook her head like I had disappointed her. My mother continued. "She has been paranoid about money. She has accused me of things. She has been unstable for months, and I have tried to protect her privacy because I am her mother." My Aunt Denise reached for my arm. "Sweetheart, maybe you should sit down." "I am sitting down." My voice was low. That seemed to frighten people more than shouting would have. I stood, walked into the kitchen, and opened the drawer where my mother kept bank envelopes. Receipts, expired coupons, and things she wanted close enough to control. I do not know why I looked there. Maybe because Grandma Alice had taught me that guilty people hide important papers in ordinary places. Behind a stack of grocery circulars was a folded letter from First Volunteer Credit Union. Account closure confirmation. Beneficiary, Mara Ellis. Authorized withdrawal, Carolyn Ellis, power of attorney. Amount disbursed, $18,472.66. Date 3 weeks after Grandma's funeral. I carried the paper back to the dining room. The air had gone still. I placed it beside Brielle's pumpkin pie. Did my money buy your SUV? Brielle's mouth opened. My mother said, "That is enough. Answer me." My father finally spoke. Mara, your sister needed transportation for work. The family made a decision. The family? I looked around the table. The family made a decision with money Grandma left to me by name. My mother's performance cracked for half a second. Then she rebuilt it. We were going to tell you when you were calmer. I am calm. No, she said, lifting her chin. You are not. Then she did what she had always done when reality became inconvenient. She called a family meeting while everyone was already in the room. She stood in the living room beneath the framed photo of our family at church, the one where Brielle stood between my parents, and I was half hidden behind Tyler's shoulder. I have tried to keep this private, my mother said, voice trembling beautifully. But we cannot keep pretending Mara is well. My father stood beside her, silent, supporting by not objecting. Brielle sat on the couch with tears in her eyes, because no one in our family cried more convincingly than the person who had just gotten what she wanted. Tyler leaned against the fireplace with his arms crossed. I stood near the hallway holding the credit union paper. No one asked to see it. That is the part I remember most. 15 people in that house, and not one asked to see the proof. My mother told them I had been erratic. My mother said I was obsessed with money. My mother said Grandma Alice had worried about me near the end. That was the one that made me move. She never said that. My voice shook. My mother looked at me with pity so polished it could cut glass. She loved you too much to say it to your face. I stopped defending myself then. Not because she had won. Because I finally understood the game. The truth was not enough if everyone in the room had already chosen the lie that kept them comfortable. I went upstairs. Packed 1 suitcase. 3 pairs of jeans. 4 shirts. My work shoes. A toothbrush. $240 in cash from bakery tips. And the brown envelope Grandma Alice had left me in the bottom drawer of her nightstand. I had never opened it. I had been saving it for when missing her hurt less. Outside my bedroom door, Brielle whispered to someone, "She is actually leaving," Tyler said. Good. My mother was waiting in the foyer when I came down. If you walk out now, she said, do not expect us to chase you. I looked at my father. He looked away. I looked at the house, the staircase, the dining room, the doorway to the kitchen where I had washed dishes after every holiday since I was 13. Then I looked at my mother. You never chased me when I was here. I opened the door. Cold air came in. Behind me, my mother said. You need help. Mara. I stepped onto the porch. No, I said. I need distance. Then I closed the door gently. That was the last sound I heard from my family for 8 years. I slept in my car the first 2 nights. Not in Bellhaven. I drove until the gas gauge scared me and parked outside a 24-hour grocery store in Nashville because bright parking lots felt safer than dark roads. On the 3rd day, I sold my grandmother's pearl earrings. I still hate that sentence. They were not expensive pearls. They were small, old, slightly uneven, and hers. But grief does not pay for gas. The pawn shop gave me $110. I used 58 of it to buy a bus ticket west. The farthest I could get with what I had was Denver. I chose it because the ticket was cheap, and because Grandma Alice once showed me a magazine picture of the Rocky Mountains and said, "Some places look like God left the curtains open." The bus ride took 27 hours. I sat beside a man who smelled like peppermint gum and machine oil. Somewhere in Kansas, he asked if I was running away. "No," I said. He nodded, running toward a then. I did not answer, but I remembered it. Denver in December was sharp and bright. The cold felt cleaner than Tennessee cold. Less damp. Less personal. I spent the first week in a women's shelter. The second week in a rooming house with a shared bathroom and a radiator that sounded like someone fighting chains in the wall. I applied for every job I could find. Receptionist. Cashier. Front desk. Medical intake. Office assistant. Night auditor. On the 9th day, HarborBridge called. Back then, HarborBridge. Community housing was a non-profit with 14 employees and 3 programs: emergency rental assistance, transitional housing for women leaving domestic violence, and a tiny grant writing department run by a woman named Simone Alvarez, who looked at everyone like she could see the invoice for their excuses. I interviewed for a receptionist position wearing the blazer I had packed from my dental office job. Simone asked me why I left Tennessee. "Family emergency," I said. "Yours or theirs?" I froze. She waited. I said, "Both, probably." She hired me. Later, she told me she hired me because I answered phones like someone who knew panic on the other end of a line deserved structure. That was year 1. Answering calls, sorting intake forms, learning which shelters had beds, learning how to talk to landlords who thought compassion was a late fee they did not want to waive, learning the geography of desperation in a city where rent kept rising faster than wages. At night, I took online classes in nonprofit management. I paid for them slowly. $100 here, $200 there. I ate oatmeal for dinner so often I still cannot smell cinnamon without remembering a rooming house microwave. I did not become successful quickly. People love that version because it is neat. There was nothing neat about it. There were overdraft fees, panic attacks in grocery aisles, holidays spent walking through neighborhoods just to see families through windows and remind myself that belonging existed somewhere. There was the first birthday with no calls, then the second, then the third, where the silence hurt less and scared me because I thought maybe I was becoming cold. I was not cold. I was healing around the shape of what had happened. Healing looks like indifference before it feels like peace. My mother did not stay silent in Bellhaven. I learned that later. At first, I did not check. I deleted Facebook the night I left. But small towns leak. Eventually, old classmates found me on LinkedIn. An aunt sent an email. A former neighbor messaged through the HarborBridge website as if workplace contact forms were appropriate places for family gossip. They told me pieces. Carolyn Ellis told the church prayer circle that I had suffered a mental health crisis after Thanksgiving. She told people I had refused treatment. Then, when that sounded too harsh, she changed it to, "We are respecting her healing journey." Respecting. That word did a lot of work. My father told men at the hardware store that they hoped I was safe. Tyler posted things like, "You cannot help someone who wants to be a victim." Brielle told people I was jealous of her business and had left because I could not handle seeing her succeed. No one mentioned the education fund. No one mentioned the forged power of attorney. No one mentioned that my grandmother had tried to hand me a future and my family had driven it off the lot. For years, I was a ghost story they told to make themselves feel generous. Poor Mara. Unstable Mara. Dramatic Mara. We tried. We prayed. We would take her back tomorrow. They would not have. I know that now. They did not want me back. They wanted the version of me that made their version true. Meanwhile, in Denver, my life kept getting larger. Not glamorous. Larger! At HarborBridge, I reorganized the intake database because the old system lost people between first call and follow-up. Simone noticed. "Who told you to do this?" she asked. "No one." "Why did you?" "Because a woman with 2 kids should not have to repeat her story 5 times just because our spreadsheet is ugly." She stared at me for a second, then handed me a stack of files. "Fix the grant tracker next." That became my unofficial title. Fix it. Except at HarborBridge, the words meant something different. Not fix my family's mess. Not fix their lies. Fix systems that failed people. Fix processes that made pain harder. Fix the gap between good intentions and actual help. Within 2 years, I became program coordinator. Year 4, operations manager. Year 6, director of housing systems. Year 7, after HarborBridge merged with 2 regional nonprofits and expanded into permanent supportive housing. Simone brought me into the conference room and slid a contract across the table. Chief Operations Officer. I laughed. I thought she was joking. Simone did not joke about titles. "You know this organization from the front desk to the boardroom," she said. "You know where the paperwork breaks. You know where people lie to themselves. You know where money leaks. You know how to make chaos answer the phone." I looked at the contract. The salary was more money than anyone in my family had ever believed I could earn, legally. I do not have a fancy degree. "You have the one that matters here." "What degree is that?" She leaned back. "Survival with documentation." I signed. And for the first time since Thanksgiving 2018, I went home that night and opened Grandma Alice's brown envelope. Inside was a photograph. Me at 8 years old, standing in Grandma's tomato garden with dirt on both knees and a grin so wide my face looked too small for it. Behind the photo was a letter. "Mara, if you are reading this, I am gone and you are probably alone. I am sorry for both. Your mother has always been better at making things look proper than making them right. Do not let her turn your softness into evidence against you. You were never too sensitive. You were paying attention. About the school money, I left instructions with Mr. Bellamy at first volunteer. If Carolyn says otherwise, ask for the withdrawal record. And if they make you choose between being believed and being free, choose free. I wish I had. Love, Grandma Alice. I sat on the floor of my Denver apartment and cried so hard the neighbor knocked. Not because the letter fixed anything, because it proved I had not imagined the room. That is what scapegoats need more than revenge. Proof that the room was real. Proof that the smoke they choked on came from a fire someone else lit. I called Mr. Bellamy the next day. He was retired, living in Florida, and sounded like a man who had been waiting for a confession without knowing from whom. He confirmed what the credit union paper had already told me. Grandma Alice had created the education account. The withdrawal happened after her death. My mother used an outdated power of attorney and a signature that did not match mine. By the time I called, the statute of limitations had passed. There was no legal path, no money to recover, no court to make Carolyn say what she did out loud. For one day, I hated that. Then I remembered something Grandma Alice used to say when a storm knocked down branches. Use the wood. So I did. I created the Alice May Education Fund through HarborBridge, a scholarship for young adults, leaving unsafe family situations who needed vocational training, certification classes, or community college tuition. The first year, I funded it myself. $2,000. Enough for one student's certified nursing assistant course, textbooks, bus pass, and exam fee. Her name was Janny. She sent me a photo when she passed. I printed it and kept it in my desk drawer beside Grandma's letter. My family had stolen one education fund. I built another. That did not erase what happened. It answered it. The thing that brought Bellhaven back into my life was not my family. It was a grant. HarborBridge had partnered with a national rural housing initiative, and Bellhaven was one of the towns applying for redevelopment funding to convert an abandoned textile mill into mixed-income apartments and a job training center. The project was called Millstone Renewal. I saw the name on a Tuesday morning in a board packet and stopped breathing. Bellhaven. 3 syllables. A whole childhood. A whole lie. Simone looked up from her coffee. You okay? That is my hometown. Her eyebrows lifted. Do we need to reassign it? I looked at the proposal. The applicant organization was Bellhaven Community Alliance. Committee Chair, Carolyn Ellis. My mother. Of course. Because if Bellhaven had a stage, Carolyn found the center of it. I can handle it, I said. Simone studied me. Can handle and should handle are different. I know. Then why? Because the town had heard one story. Because Grandma Alice's letter lived in my desk. Because I had spent 8 years breathing clean air and still sometimes woke up with my mother's voice in my head. Because I did not want revenge, but I wanted correction. It is my work, I said, and I am good at my work. Simone nodded. Then we'd do it professionally. Professionally meant no surprises from our side. Our team submitted review notes. Bellhaven's proposal was strong but underdeveloped in operations. They needed technical assistance. The Alliance asked HarborBridge to send a keynote speaker for their fundraiser to attract donors and local government support. Simone originally planned to go. Then she had emergency surgery. Gallbladder. Out of nowhere. Looks like you are up, she said from a hospital bed, annoyed at both medicine and timing. Are you sure? I am sure you know the project better than anyone. She did not know my mother was chairing the event. She knew enough to ask one more question. Will this hurt you? I thought about lying. Yes, I said. Will it harm you? No. Then take Jess with you. Jess was not my wife. Not then. She was my best friend, roommate for 2 years, emergency contact, and the person who had once stood outside my bathroom door reading grant guidelines aloud because I was having a panic attack before a budget presentation and familiar language calmed me down. Jess worked in communications. She had family scars of her own. When I told her we were going to Bellhaven, she whistled. A full circle or horror movie? Possibly both. Do I need to bring pepper spray or a blazer? Blazer? Shame. I look great with pepper spray. 2 weeks before the fundraiser, Brielle found me. Not emotionally. Digitally. She searched my name because her event planning business was collapsing and the bank wanted a co-signer for a consolidation loan. I know this because my Aunt Denise finally told me the truth after 8 years of silence. Brielle typed Mara Ellis into Google and found the HarborBridge page. Then the regional business article. Then the interview where I talked about housing systems, operational accountability, and building second chances for people who had been written off by the people closest to them. My mother saw the article at 11:43 a.m. By noon, she had called my father. By 1, Tyler. By 3, my phone began to shake itself across my desk. 49 missed calls before 5. 63 voicemails by dinner. I listened because part of me needed to know whether even one person would say it. I am sorry. Brielle went first. Mara, it is Brielle. I just saw. Wow. You look great. I mean, you are doing really well. Listen, I know things were weird when you left, but I really need to talk to you. It is urgent. Things were weird. That was how she described a theft, slander, and 8 years of silence. Tyler's message came next. Hey, sis, long time. Guess you're some big nonprofit boss now. That is cool. Real cool. I have got an opportunity you might want to get in on. Call me. Opportunity. My father's voicemail was barely 30 seconds. Mara, it is Dad. Your mother is upset. Brielle is in trouble with the bank, and Tyler's business is not doing well. We could use some help. Just call us, okay? We could use some help. Then my mother. Mara, this is your mother. I do not know why you have been hiding all this. Family should not find things out online. Call me immediately. We need to discuss how to handle this before the fundraiser. Before the fundraiser? That was how I knew she had seen the program. Not Mara. You are alive. Not Mara. I was wrong. Not Mara. I'm sorry. How to handle this? Voicemail 52 was Brielle again. The polished voice was gone. They are going to take the house. I need a co-signer. Mara, you do not even have to pay anything. Just sign. Please, I am your sister. Voicemail 58 was my mother, lower, sharper. If you get on that stage and embarrass me, you will prove everything I ever said about you. That one I saved twice. Not because I needed evidence for anyone else. Because sometimes your old self needs to hear the threat and your new self needs to watch you survive it. I did not call back. I sent one email. Carolyn, Howard, Brielle, Tyler. I received your calls. I will not co-sign loans, send money, invest in private business ideas, or participate in any conversation that begins with a demand. If any of you want contact with me, it begins with a specific apology for the education fund, the public lies about my mental health, and 8 years of silence. I am coming to Bellhaven as part of my work. Do not approach me at the event unless you are prepared to speak honestly. Mara. My mother replied 9 minutes later. You always were cruel when you did not get your way. I printed it. Put it in a folder. Then I packed my charcoal suit. Bellhaven looked smaller from the rental car. That is what nobody tells you about leaving. The place that once held your entire life becomes a set you can see the edges of. The diner was still there. So was First Baptist with its white columns. So was the hardware store where my father had once bought me a pink bicycle helmet and told me not to tell Tyler because he would want one too. The Ellis house sat 3 streets away from the community center. I did not drive past it. I had nothing to prove to a building. The fundraiser was held in the renovated high school gym because Bellhaven did not have a hotel ballroom, and the gym had bleachers that could be hidden behind rented drapes. A banner over the stage read, Millstone Renewal, Building Homes, Building Hope. 250 people attended. Small-town politicians, church leaders, local business owners, teachers, former classmates, people who had prayed for me in public while never asking where I was in private. Jess stood beside me near the stage entrance, wearing a black blazer and the expression of a woman ready to ruin someone politely. You good? She asked. No. Accurate answer. Are you steady? Yes. That is enough. Through the curtain, I saw my mother. Carolyn Ellis wore emerald green and pearls. She stood at the center table, greeting donors, touching arms, laughing softly, performing warmth like it was a practice at hymn. My father sat beside her, older than I remembered. Brielle was there in a cream dress, checking her phone every few seconds. Tyler stood near the buffet, already drinking. Aunt Denise sat 2 tables away, hands folded tightly in her lap. She saw me first. Our eyes met through the gap in the curtain. She did not smile. She nodded once. It was not enough to fix 8 years. It was enough to tell me I was not invisible. The mayor opened. Pastor Glenn prayed. A city councilwoman spoke about revitalization. Then the event chair walked to the podium. My mother, I watched her pick up the printed program and realize, one last time, that my name was on it. Mara Ellis, Chief Operations Officer, HarborBridge Community Housing, keynote speaker. Her mouth tightened. Only for a second. The room did not see it. I did. She said, Our keynote speaker tonight brings national experience in community housing systems and nonprofit operations. Please welcome Mara Ellis. No daughter. No, our very own. No mention that she had given birth to me. Just the name she could no longer control. I walked onto the stage. The applause began politely, then grew as people read the screen behind me. My professional headshot. My title. My work. A few murmurs moved through the room. Is that Carolyn's Mara? I thought she was... She is a COO? I reached the podium. For 1 second, the gym disappeared. I was back in the living room at 23, suitcase in hand, my mother behind me, saying I needed help. Then I looked at the crowd, at my mother's frozen smile, at my father's lowered head, at Brielle's pale face, at Tyler's anger, at Jess beside the stage, one hand over her heart, and I began, "Hey, good evening, Bellhaven." My voice did not shake. That sentence feels strange to say after 8 years. The room quieted. Good. I am here tonight to talk about housing, community investment, and what it means to rebuild places that have been neglected for too long. I delivered the speech I had written. 22 minutes. Data. Funding structures. Why mixed income housing works when communities stop treating affordable as a dirty word. How abandoned buildings become either hazards or homes depending on whether leadership has courage. The audience listened. Some took notes. My mother relaxed slightly because professional Mara was easier to survive than personal Mara. Then I turned the page. Before I close, I want to say something about stories. The room shifted. Every community tells stories about people who leave. Sometimes those stories are true. Sometimes they are convenient. Sometimes a person leaves not because they are broken, but because staying would have required them to keep breaking. Silence. I heard a chair creak. When I left Bellhaven, I had $240 and 1 suitcase. I also had a story following me, a story that said I was unstable, a story that said my family had tried to help me, a story that made other people comfortable because it explained my absence without asking what I had survived. My mother's face changed. She did not stand. She did not interrupt. There were too many witnesses. That story was not true. 6 words. 8 years. The whole room inside them. I was not in a facility. I was not lost. I was not being cared for somewhere far away. I was working. I was studying. I was building a life in a city where nobody knew the version of me that had been handed to them. I did not look at my mother. I looked at the town. Because this was not revenge. This was correction. If this project succeeds, it will not be because we renovated a building. It will be because Bellhaven decides to see people clearly, not through gossip, not through family reputation, not through the easiest story. Clearly. A woman in the 3rd row covered her mouth. My old high school guidance counselor stared at the table like she had suddenly remembered a conversation she should have questioned. Pastor Glenn turned slowly toward my mother's table. I closed my folder. Communities do not heal by pretending harm did not happen. They heal by telling the truth, then building something better with it. I stepped back. For half a second, nothing. Then applause. Not polite. Not confused. Rising. People stood. 1 row. Then another. Soon the entire gym was on its feet, except the center table. My mother sat perfectly still. Brielle was crying. Tyler looked furious. My father stood last. Slowly, not looking at my mother. Looking at me. It was too late to be what I had needed, but not too late to be true. Afterward, the room became a storm with manners. People approached me carefully. Some said congratulations. Some said I did not know. Some said nothing and hugged me, which was worse and better at the same time. Mrs. Adler, My 11th grade biology teacher held both my hands and whispered, "I am sorry. I believed what I heard." I said, "Thank you." "Not it is okay." Because it was not okay. "Thank you" was enough. My mother reached me near the donor table. She came smiling. Of course she did. The smile was for the room. "Mara, sweetheart." Her arms opened. I stepped back. The smile flickered. "Not here," I said. Her voice lowered. "You humiliated me." "I told the truth without naming you." "You did not need to name me." "Then maybe the problem is not my speech." Brielle appeared beside her, mascara under both eyes. "Mara, please, the bank deadline is Friday." I looked at her. She looked exhausted. "Afraid?" "Human." That made the boundary harder, not less necessary. "I am sorry you are in trouble." Hope flashed. "But I am not co-signing." Her face twisted. "After everything, you would let me lose my house?" "After everything, you still think my signature belongs to you?" She recoiled. Tyler stepped forward. "You think you are better than us?" I smiled faintly. "No, I think I am finally unavailable." My father said, "Mara!" His voice broke. I looked at him. He had aged more in the last hour than in the last 8 years. "I should have stopped it," he said. My mother snapped, "Howard!" He did not look at her. "I should have stopped all of it." The room around us had gone quiet enough to hear. My father turned to my mother. "She was not unstable. We let you say she was because it was easier than admitting what happened with the money." My mother's face went white. Brielle whispered, "Dad!" Tyler said, "What money?" And just like that, the second story entered the room. Not from me. From him, my father, who had said nothing when silence could protect me, finally spoke when silence no longer protected him. It was not justice, but it was something. I left before it became a trial. Jess walked with me to the rental car. "You okay?" she asked. This time, I thought before answering. "I am not theirs anymore." Jess smiled. "No, you are not." The fallout in Bellhaven happened quickly because small towns process truth like weather. Everyone feels it. By Monday, my mother resigned as fundraiser chair. Officially, she said she wanted to focus on family. Unofficially, donors had questions. Pastor Glenn asked her to step back from the Alliance Board for a season. That phrase did a lot of work. My father moved into the guest room. Aunt Denise told me this in a phone call that began with, "I do not deserve to be forgiven, but I want to be honest." She told me people were asking about the education fund. She told me Brielle's SUV had become a town symbol by accident. She told me Tyler deleted 3 Facebook posts about loyalty after his girlfriend commented, "Did loyalty include stealing from your sister?" I laughed when I heard that. Not loudly. "Just enough?" Brielle lost the house. The bank would not extend without a co-signer. She moved into my old bedroom in my parents' house, which felt so perfectly cruel, I almost believed the universe had a sense of humor. Aunt Denise said Brielle found pencil marks on the inside of the closet door. My height chart, ages 7 through 17. Grandma Alice had marked most of them because my mother always forgot. Brielle apparently stared at them for a long time. "I do not know what that means." Maybe nothing. Maybe the beginning of shame. Tyler's business idea died without my money. He posted a vague quote about family betrayal, then deleted it when nobody liked it. My mother did not contact me. Not directly. She sent one email through my father's account. "I know you think you won." I did not answer, because that sentence told me she still thought we had been playing the same game. We had not. She had been fighting to keep a story. I had been fighting to get out of one. 6 weeks after the fundraiser, a letter arrived at my office. No return address, but I knew my father's handwriting. "Mara, I'm sorry. Not for upsetting you. Not if you felt hurt. I am sorry for what I did. Your grandmother trusted us with your fund, and we failed you. Your mother signed the paperwork. But I knew. I told myself Brielle needed it more, that you were stronger, that there would be time to make it right. Then, when you asked at Thanksgiving, I watched your mother call you unstable instead of telling the truth. I watched you leave. I let the town believe a lie because correcting it would have cost me comfort. I was not keeping peace. I was protecting cowardice. You deserved a father who stood up. I did not. I do not expect forgiveness. I only wanted one honest thing to finally reach you. Dad, I read it at my desk. Once. Twice. Then I put it beside Grandma Alice's letter. 2 truths, 8 years apart. One had freed me. One did not heal me, but it gave the wound a name. I did not write back immediately. I waited a month. Then I sent one line. Thank you for telling the truth. That was all I had. That was all he had earned. But it was not nothing. Brielle wrote next. Her email was messy, angry in places, sorry in others. She said she had told herself the money was a loan. She said Mom made it sound like I would never use it. She said she was jealous that Grandma Alice loved me differently. Then, near the end, one clean sentence. I let you become the price of my comfort. I stared at that line for a long time. It was the closest Brielle had ever come to seeing me as a person. I did not send money. I did not co-sign. I did reply. That sentence is honest. Start there. She did not respond for 3 weeks. Then she sent a photo of the SUV being towed away. No caption. I did not know whether it was apology, punishment, or proof. Maybe all 3. Families rarely heal in clean categories. 1 year after the Bellhaven fundraiser, Millstone Renewal broke ground. HarborBridge stayed on as technical advisor. Bellhaven raised the match funding after the scandal, ironically faster than before, because shame can become civic energy when guided properly. I attended the groundbreaking as part of our team. My mother did not. My father did. He stood in the back beside Aunt Denise, hands folded, quieter than I remembered. After the ceremony, he approached. May I walk with you? I almost said no. Then I thought of Grandma Alice. Choose free. Freedom can include no. It can also include yes with boundaries. 10 minutes, I said. We walked along the fence line where the old textile mill windows reflected the sky. He did not ask for money. He did not ask me to call my mother. He did not ask me to forgive him. Instead, he said, Your grandmother would like this. Yes. She always said you noticed what other people missed. I wish you had listened. I do too. The words hung there. No dramatic hug. No music. No daughter running back into a father's arms. Real life is less edited. But when 10 minutes ended, I did not feel smaller. That mattered. Back in Denver, my life stayed mine. Sunday dinners with Jess and Simone and two neighbors who argued about whether cornbread should be sweet. Late nights reviewing housing budgets. Scholarship emails from students who needed exactly the kind of help I had once been denied. A plant on my office windowsill grown from a cutting Aunt Denise mailed from Grandma Alice's old jade plant. I named it Stubborn. It thrived. My mother never apologized. Some people cannot survive being specific about the harm they caused. They prefer general sadness because it has no invoices. I stopped waiting. That was the last chord. Not anger, not forgiveness. Just the end of waiting. If you are listening to this because your family only calls when they need something, I want you to hear me clearly. A request is not an apology. A crisis is not accountability. Need does not erase harm. The people who abandoned you when you were inconvenient do not automatically regain access because you became useful. For years, I thought I had to become successful enough to prove my family wrong. I was mistaken. The real freedom came when proving them wrong stopped being the point. I built a life because I deserved one. Not because they were watching. They were not watching. That was the gift hidden inside the abandonment. No audience. No performance. Just me, deciding every day that my mother's story was not my name. My name is Mara Ellis. I was 23 when I left Bellhaven with $240, one suitcase, and a grandmother's letter I was too afraid to open. I am 31 now. I have a title on my door, friends at my table, and a scholarship in my grandmother's name. My family called after 8 years and said, "Fix this." I said no, not because I stopped loving them, because I finally started including myself in the people worth protecting. That is my story. And if anyone in your life has turned you into the villain so they never have to confess what they stole from you, remember this. You do not have to correct every lie the day it is told. Sometimes you survive first. Sometimes you build. Sometimes you let time gather the evidence. And one day, when the room is finally full of everyone who believed the wrong story, you simply stand up, say the truth clearly, and walk out with your own name intact.